We are here today to talk about how we as CROs can exceed our revenue targets by mastering sales enablement. Now, many of you don't know who I am. And yes, I'm the CEO and co-founder of SalesHood. And, but I want to start by telling you a story. I want to go back in time, back to 2005, 2006. Imagine getting a phone call from the CEO of Salesforce.com and saying, Eli, you got to come to my office. And I was vice president of sales enablement at the time and went to the office. And there I am, and myself, the leadership team, and there's Mark right there. Mark has his PowerPoint corporate pitch deck on the projector, and he's going through the slides, and he's telling us, this is how we're going to win. We got to get everybody on message. We got to get everybody telling the same story. We got to get every customer-facing employee to be conversationally competent about what the cloud is. That is how we're going to win. Just want everyone to remember, 2005, there was no tower on the San Francisco skyline. It wasn't a fait accompli that Salesforce.com was going to become this amazing juggernaut that it is. Those were crazy times back then. It was hugely competitive and hugely uncertain. But Mark had a vision. And his vision was, let's get everybody on message. And then he looked at me. He went through the slides. He had each of us around the table. There were about 10 of us. And we were going through the slides. And he was testing us and quizzing us and making sure we understood the slides. Amazing. What an experience. Super intense. And then he looked at me, remember, Vice President, Sales Enablement. And he said, your job now is to run around the world, train, coach, and certify every customer-facing employee. You got 30 days. Go. Boom. And there we went. And that was what we did for 8 years. We were consistently getting our teams on message. We were consistently training our teams on the latest pitch decks, sales playbooks, competitive battle cards. And it was intense. It was hugely, hugely effective, but it was hugely inefficient. Now, crazy thing happened. I came back to Mark's office after that first go around, training everyone, certifying everyone, sitting face to face with people, getting them on message. And then Mark looks at me and says, I made some changes to the deck. Let's do it again. And that was what we did quarter after quarter, month after month. We trained people, coach people. And, I was at Salesforce.com during the hypergrowth years, from 300 million to 3 billion. So it was absolutely, absolutely incredible. Super grateful to have worked very closely with Mark and Salesforce at the time to pioneer what today is known as sales enablement. Fast forward 8 years, I realized after doing this for so many years that what we needed a way, and we needed a process, and we needed a system to scale how we can deliver that same excellence, those same amazing revenue outcomes, the same training and coaching, but we got to deliver it at scale, but we need a system to do it. And so I left Salesforce.com and I founded SalesHood. And SalesHood is a company. I'm the CEO and co-founder, and we're so proud. We're on a mission to help every sales organization, every CRO crush their numbers and have the same record-breaking results that we had at Salesforce. We're on a mission to deliver this to every company. I've also written a book. Here it is. It's called Enablement Mastery. At the end, I'll let you know how you can get one. But that's about me, SVP, Sales Enablement during the hypergrowth time at Salesforce. I'm from Toronto originally, moved to San Francisco about 20 years ago, and founded SalesHood about 8 years ago. And so let's start with, what is sales enablement? What is enablement? It means a lot of different things for a lot of different people. But I've done a lot of thinking on this, done a lot of practical work on this, been working with many, many leaders around the world, many CROs, and consistently there is alignment around what it means. Enablement is the alignment of people, processes, and priorities. Think about it. Your people, your processes, your priorities, you got to align them with the relevant learning and coaching and communications, and you got to deliver it to them just in time when they need it the most. Why? So you can achieve revenue and growth goals, right? This is what sales enablement is. And we're on a mission to solve this problem, right? I know many of you can relate to this problem, right? How many of you have sales teams that are underperforming? The research that we've done and the research in the industry is showing that 50% of revenue for most sales organizations today are coming from 20% of their reps. Think about it for a second. You've got hundreds and thousands of salespeople, but you're really only getting revenue contributions from 20% of them. Only 30 to 50% of them are actually hitting quota. Think about that. When we meet companies, when companies come to us, when companies come to sales and asking for help, they're usually in the 30% range. That's crazy. 30% of our sellers are hitting quota. Like, we're wasting trillions of dollars a year to enable our people. We don't know what's working. Most of our reps are not even performing. And what's happening is the core metrics like ramp time, win rates, and quota attainment are way below expectations. And you're probably wondering why. How can this be? How can this be? Sales enablement is new. It's a new profession. It's a new discipline. We were pioneering it at Salesforce. There are now a lot of companies. Thank you to the collective. Thank you to this organization for promoting sales enablement. But there is such a thing as bad sales enablement. Bad sales enablement can have a negative effect on revenue, on productivity, on morale. And we see this all too often. And you know what it looks like. Any one of you can talk to any one of your frontline managers, talk to any one of your reps, and just ask them a simple question. How's our enablement team doing? Ask them how your enablement leader is doing, right? And in that first second, you'll know how they're doing, because they'll either reply with like, wow, I love the enablement team. I love what we're doing. Or they'll say, well, they're nice, but they're not really giving us what we need. I get to meet with and work with several CROs on the planet. And the number one problem that they tell me that they're struggling with today when it comes to sales enablement is there's no way to prove what's working. Think about it. You're spending all this time, you're spending all these resources, you're doing so much to enable your people, but you got no way to prove what's working. That's the number one thing I hear over and over and over from CROs around the planet. And why? Because there's too many systems, too many processes. They're way too disconnected. There's a lack of alignment between what's most important and what teams are actually being enabled on. This book will guide you to help you break through that issue of go-to-market alignment. Most of the enablement programs that are being rolled out, they are way too stick-based versus carrot. What I mean by that is, when you build your enablement programs, when you create your enablement teams, you need to be very clear on the what's in it for me. Why am I, as a salesperson, going to practice and record my pitch? Why am I going to do this training right now? Why am I going to use these tools, these resources? Why? You need to be super clear on the why. It's not happening today. I'm going to tell you why. Managers are not engaged. Managers are not engaged. And I'm loving the feed. Hello from London. Hello from New York City. Please, start putting your questions in there. We're going to take them at the end. I look forward to meeting all of you. For many companies today, enablement is a checkbox. It's something we got to do. It's not something that we believe intrinsically is going to help us grow our business, grow our pipeline, improve our win rates. That's the why. And too many companies are doing a one-size-fits-all, right? They think everybody should get the same kind of enablement. But guess what? Our pre-sales people are different than our SDRs. They're different than our partners. They're different than our quota carrying reps. They're different than our SMB reps. They're different than our customer success folks. Everybody needs enablement that's tailored to them. Wouldn't you want to have enablement that's tailored to you? Of course you would. Hello from Lisbon, Portugal. I love it. And there's too many random acts of enablement. So I wanted to paint a picture for you around how what's going on today with sales enablement, and why are we not seeing the results that we want to see? Because ultimately, we want to replicate top performer success, right? We want to get all of our top performers crushing their quota, hitting their numbers, having the best win rates, winning every deal. And here's what we know. We know that when we can get our teams trained on, when we get your names trained, sorry, someone just posted a question there. I know when you train your teams and get them to get the right levels of skills, when you are getting them to learn your products, when you get them to master your pitch, when you give them the right industry knowledge, when they're using the right content, and ultimately when you are doing the appropriate coaching, we know that when you can get the right balance of all that, guess what? You're going to get the appropriate attainment, and you're going to see those amazing revenue outcomes. But it's hard work. It is super hard work to get these results. And so how do you replicate top performer success? That's a really, really big question. And listen, folks are asking, how do they connect with me on LinkedIn? ELAY, Eli at saleshood.com. And at the end, we'll also have a way for you to email me and get a book and everything. But if you're keen on connecting with me on LinkedIn right now at this exact moment in time, ELAY at saleshood.com. If you're listening, love to connect with you. So here is the path to success. You're a CRO, you're a leader in your organization, and you start asking yourself, how are you going to enable your people? How are you going to get your teams aligned? How are you going to get all your teams aligned? Enablement is a company-wide initiative. It's not just something that is done by one person. It's everybody. It's product, it's support, it's account management, it's customer success, it's marketing. Everybody needs to enable your people. So what do you need to do? You need to get them aligned first, right? So this process map, I worked so hard to build this process map. It's based on billions and billions and billions of data, looking at performance data, looking at activity data, and it's based on my deep experience from Salesforce, plus working with many of the fastest growing companies on the planet. I created this to make your lives easier. Now, the way the model works, by the way, this enablement process map constitutes about a third of the book, right? The way the book is organized is the book is 1/3 people, 1/3 process, and 1/3 priorities. And the process is the center, the cornerstone of how you're going to deliver those amazing revenue outcomes, right? And so the way this process map works is it works top to bottom, left to right. And now some of you are probably thinking, oh my God, we don't do half of this stuff. That's okay. We just need you to have a roadmap. We need you to be able to walk into any go-to-market meeting, any leadership meeting, any meeting with cross-departmental. And we need you to be able to start identifying who is doing what. But it all starts with the top left, your go-to-market. What are your metrics and KPIs? If you're not writing down your metrics and KPIs and you're not writing them down and sharing them and then getting everybody aligned around what's most important, how can you do any kind of enablement for any kind of salesperson or your channels or anyone in your organization? Once you have the metrics and KPIs, then you can start documenting the motions, the processes, the activities, and then you can start looking at some of the more advanced go-to-market enablement around plans by role, right? But you got to get that go-to-market. Many people miss that step. Whole chapter on go-to-market alignment. Then you want to get into learning, right? Now that you know what you need to do, who you need to do it for, what are the goals, what are the outcomes, what are the metrics, what are the KPIs, then you can start building your training. Can't tell you how many people remember the random acts of enablement. Someone says, oh, we got to train everybody. Well, let's take a step back. Why do we need to train them? What are the goals? What are the outcomes? If you don't take a step back and do that, then you're going to miss an opportunity to really have an impact. You're going to wonder why people aren't making their numbers. This process map is going to get you to a place where you can lift everybody's productivity up, get everybody in the organization aligned, creating the right content at the right time. And yes, it's not just training content. It's not just learning content. It's also sales tools and assets. When I say content, I mean every single thing that every single sales professional, customer-facing employee needs in order for them to do what? In order for them to deliver an amazing experience to your buyers. Because that's what this is about. It's about buyer engagement. And it's about helping your buyers make faster buying decisions. And ultimately, you want to measure everything, right? And that's where we get into the achievements, looking at attainment, win stories. Now, there is no way you are going to be able to have green dots on all of these boxes. But you got to start somewhere. And we can help you, and we want to help you. And the book is a starting point to help you understand how to execute the enablement process map across your organization. Because if you can execute the process map, then you can scale your business. Now, I want you to think about what I was just sharing. There's the process map, and then now start thinking about, okay, we have a campaign we're going to roll out. We've got a new program we're going to roll out. Here's how you replicate top performer successes, and here's how the process map starts working, right? You take your go-to-market, you identify your KPIs and your metrics, and then you got to publish your learning and your training, and then you got to teach your people. They got to practice. Then they need to self-assess, peer assess, manager assess. Then you need to apply all the lessons to real deals. And then boom, then you got to get coaching from the managers. Then you want to make sure that your teams get the just-in-time content so that way they're selling better, selling faster. Then you want to help them close. Then what do you want to do? All that activity, you want to correlate to performance data. And then guess what? You're going to do it again. I can tell you this. When companies roll out programs, whether it's a new product launch, whether it's a new pitch, whether it's training, whether it's this, whether it's that, it doesn't matter what it is. They tend to just do 1 and 2. We'll roll it out, we'll communicate it, we'll teach everyone by hosting some kind of webinar or something, and then we'll assume that they got it. And I can tell you something right now, your people don't got it. Excuse for the funny talk there, but I'm trying to just kind of make a point. They haven't embraced and they haven't really learned and practiced and applied what they need to know to be successful to deliver an amazing buyer experience until they can show you. Don't just trust them. They need to show you. They need to practice. They need to, stand and deliver the presentations, the pitches. They need to practice. They need to get feedback and they need to check. And so this is an entire cycle here that if you can nail down your process map, and if you can prioritize what gets rolled out when, appreciate the great words here, everyone. If you can prioritize what you do, then you can scale it, because scaling it is where the magic happens. What does scale look like? Scale looks like everybody's on message, everybody's learning, everybody has personalized learning paths, everybody's practicing, they're self-assessing, they're applying to their business, they're able to, access everything that they need. But most importantly, remember that first thing I said, bad sales enablement is CROs and CEOs have no way to know what's working. The correlation is the key here. You need to be able to correlate the activity that you're doing around enabling your people and the content and the files and the tools that you're giving them with performance data, right? That's something that most organizations are not doing. Everybody thinks they're doing enablement, but until you can actually correlate the activity and know with full confidence what's working, it ain't working. It's not working. And so, like I said, we're here to share with you how you can master sales enablement. I needed to set that foundation for you just to understand that it's possible to do bad sales enablement. You need a process map so that way you can execute enablement across your organization, get everybody bought in, and everybody understands the roles that they're playing, top down, bottom up, everything. And then you need to scale it with the right systems and processes. But now you need the right people. And when I say people, I mean, who's going to lead enablement for you? What does your team look like? Where does enablement live in your organization? Now, the answer is it depends. I get asked this so many times. I probably get a text today from people. I need an enablement person, or where should it report to? And the book walks you through it. There's a ton of blogs on this as well. The book is clear on giving you guidance around how to find and recruit the right salespeople. But this sales enablement profession is skyrocketing. 70,000 sales enablement professionals on LinkedIn. Here's the thing. When you're building your organization, when you're hiring your sales enablement team, and when you're trying to figure out the backgrounds, and when you're trying to figure out the profile and the levels that you need, I just don't want you to necessarily get restricted to hiring just people that quote unquote have sales enablement. If you have people in your organization that understand your culture, that understand your processes, that have amazing credibility with your sales team, with your customers, guess what? If they're process minded and if they're passionate about coaching and enabling your people, they're probably great candidates for sales enablement. I wasn't born in sales enablement. I was a product manager that moved into sales enablement because I loved enabling people when I rolled out products. So check out where you can find diversity here, right? You can find diversity of profile backgrounds. You can look for people in the training world. You can look for people in the product marketers are amazing because they can build content. And I love converting product marketers into sales enablement professionals. Sales engineering, some of the best, most successful leaders in the world in sales enablement today came from sales engineering. L&D, they've got a certain point of view. I love them too. And then you can also start identifying some sales managers that may want to start changing their career, or some top salespeople that want to start dabbling in management and leadership. You can give them a role. Some of the best enablement people that I hired back at Salesforce were some of the top reps that I said, hey, you know what? And their names like Jared Litwin, Aaron Farley, like they were amazing reps. And I said, we need you in enablement because you've got the credibility. Salespeople, sales ops. So look for diversity of backgrounds across a variety of different roles. But what you're looking for is you're looking for these skills. And you can see I've got the skills here. You can see here I got the skills here around foundational, advanced, and strategic, right? So be careful the level of the person you hire and the expectations that you're going to have, right? You can't expect someone who doesn't have a lot of experience with metrics and KPIs, program strategy, executive level communications, boardroom level meetings to then run a strategy for you, right? So just know the level that you're getting, and it's okay. You need a match. You need to have a group here of people that are going to support you and help you along the way. So I did want to spend a minute just sharing this slide because it's so hard. People are struggling today to find enablement people, and it's a growing industry. And I'm saying you can probably look inside your organization or clearly reach out to us, and we can also guide you a little bit more. But wanted to say it's so important that you hire the right people. And as CROs, we want you to have a Siobhan Thatcher, right? Siobhan Thatcher is a true sales enablement professional. She rose up through the ranks through sales engineering. Everybody wants to hire Siobhan. Look at what she's done. You can see here, I've been working with Siobhan for years, and you can see here, 2017, that's the point where she was hired at RingCentral, where RingCentral started working with SalesHood, where RingCentral decided to take sales enablement seriously. And what have they done over the years? Record-breaking results, not just once, not just twice. Every quarter, look at that stock price, look at their results, off the charts. Hugely competitive market, exactly the way it was at Salesforce. So if you are in a SaaS, high-tech a market, and you're trying to create a category like we were at Salesforce, like RingCentral is, and you have a highly competitive market, you need to think about kind of the play I'm going to walk you through now, because what RingCentral did and what Siobhan did was systematically built out a program mapped to the enablement process map, and she followed every step. She defined the metrics and the KPIs, and then she identified what was the most important thing to fix. They needed to get everybody aligned on messaging. They needed to define and update their sales methodology. That was the foundation. That was the first quarter of what they did, and they saw a lift. Boom. Then they had to localize and deliver virtual training to their global teams. They did that for a couple quarters, right? And they were doing it virtually before we had to be virtual. Amazing. Forward thinker. Then what Siobhan and her team did was then they wanted to reinforce the learning with manager coaching huddles and peer-to-peer knowledge sharing, and they did that. And then they built a system and a process in place to certify their teams on a regular, consistent basis on the pitch and the product and on their competitors. I can tell you this, RingCentral does quarterly based product training for their global teams like clockwork, right? And that's part of their process because it's so important to them. And then they're launching quarterly training refreshers, and then look what they did. They did all those steps first, and then they went deep and they revamped their onboarding because those were the onboarding pillars that they needed. And what are they doing? Every step of the way, they're measuring activity. So they know with full confidence that the programs they're rolling out is having a dramatic lift and impact on their teams by segment all around the world. It's pretty amazing. And if you don't know Siobhan, she's an amazing professional. RingCentral is a spectacular story. Her whole team is great. They're spread around the world, and she's been able to get that organization to really lean into enablement as a top-line revenue growth driver. Now, you have a ton of priorities, right? You're a CRO, and you're asking yourself, wow, it's 2021. We're going to stay remote for a while. We're not necessarily coming. We're not going to be in the field yet. We got to continue executing our teams and delivering a remote buying experience. And we need to up-level our teams. But most importantly, we need to figure out how we're going to increase sales velocity, how we're going to grow our pipeline fast, how we're going to boost win rates, and how we're going to lift quota attainment. One of these four problems, one of these four priorities is probably top of mind for each one of you right now, if not all of them. You're going to need to stack rank them. But what I want to do is I want to share with you a few stories of companies that have been able to, record break, deliver amazing revenue outcomes on these four priorities, right? But most importantly, think of what we've done so far. Told you about what bad sales enablement looks like. We came up with a definition of what is sales enablement. We looked at the process map, and then we talked about, kind of the types of people that you should be hiring, the types of personas, profiles, skills that you need in order to actually start executing your priorities, right? So how do you find your Siobhan? How do you build a team like Siobhan has at RingCentral, right? So let's look at some of these priorities together because they're top of mind for me, and I'm sure they're top of mind for all of you as well. So first and foremost, sales velocity, right? Sales velocity is all about increasing win rates, increasing sales cycle time. And I've had the good fortune of working with Jim Steele for many, many, many years. We were together at Salesforce. We worked together at Inside Sales, Zant when he went there, and then worked together at Yext. everywhere he's gone, he's brought us, and he's now the president at Salesforce. He just went back. He's a boomerang, which is pretty amazing. Now, what's important about Jim and why I have Jim here as an amazing figure for each and every one of you. As CROs, it's important that you lead by example. And, Jim Steele was always the first person that I certified when we rolled out new messaging at Salesforce. Jim Steele was always the first person to send a note out to his entire leadership team to say, hey, I've just completed the enablement. I've just completed the certifications. I've just completed the programs that Eli and Mark have asked us to do. Now it's your turn, right? So he's leading by example. He's such a believer in the importance of messaging alignment, and he's seen it. He knows when he can get his teams aligned on message, aligned on the sales plays, that they always win. And so if you're a CRO, which most of you are, and my challenge to you is my question to you is, when's the last time you stood up and delivered the pitch in front of your sales teams, or recorded your pitch for your sales teams, or completed the training and held your frontline managers accountable and held your frontline managers accountable for delivering the training and reinforcing it, right? You need to live and you need to breathe the same principles and values that Jim Steele has. And he's an amazing leader and happy to make introductions. But that's the first story I wanted to share around increasing velocity. It starts with the top, identifying the metrics and getting your teams 100% aligned on messaging, just like Mark did with us, just like Jim has done at several companies. And that is conversationally competent, authentically, having authentic conversations. And you can't do it unless your people know your messages. The second story I want to share is all about pipeline, right? For most of us, it's the first quarter of 21, and we're wondering, wow, how are we going to build more pipeline? We need more pipeline. And so Domo, we've been working with Domo for many, many years. Ian Tickle is a CRO. And, last year, Domo ran their kickoff. They were fortunate to have SalesHood. They ran their kickoff, and they had to do it 100% virtual because of the pandemic. And what they did was they executed a program over 6 weeks where they did constant learning around their core sales plays by industry. So they activated their sales plays. They did it with micro learning, micro coaching on a consistent, regular basis, week after week after week. So after 6 weeks, everybody was aligned, everybody was practicing, everybody was actually doing a better job self-sourcing pipeline. Folks were doing the outreach, and what happened? Boom. They were able to generate the highest new pipeline in the history of Domo history. And that's incredible. And Ian will say it's because he set up the cadence and the governance to ensure that his teams were being trained and were following the processes to deliver success. So they're replicating and reinforcing top performer successes at scale and virtually. It's pretty incredible. And I love the Domo story. Ian's a fabulous leader as well. Another story that we have, which is great. Remember, so the first priority was all about velocity. The second priority was about growing pipeline. Here's a third priority I want to share with you, which is about win rates. Why can't we win every deal? Shouldn't we win every deal? Well, we should. Well, Dave Apple, who's the head of revenue over at Sage and who's a good friend and been working with us for many years as well. Sage is an amazing organization. And, what does Dave do that's unique, and why is he on this slide? Dave takes the idea of coaching and coaching huddles to the next level. Out of most sales leaders on the planet, what I see Dave Apple do is he's setting up these weekly coaching huddles where his teams on a regular, consistent basis are doing pitch practice. They are doing deal reviews. And you can see here, there's a slide simulation to show you what it looks like. But it's so important to him because he doesn't want his people to lose deals. So he's got his top reps helping each other, helping the reps that aren't doing as well. They're looking at their deals together, looking at their pitches together, and they're lifting each other up. But this is a leader who is putting the work and the onus on the frontline managers to deliver the coaching reinforcement. So there are a number of different ways you can do enablement, right? You can top down the messaging alignment, the Jim Steele way, which is amazing. You've got the sales plays through kind of a kickoff experience on a regular, consistent basis that we saw at Domo, and then you've got kind of manager-led enablement in the hands of the frontline managers like Dave and his team does. Some combination of all these will deliver the outcomes that you need, but you got to be thoughtful and mindful about the problems that you want to solve. And then the final one is about attainment, right? So, we all want to lift attainment. It's crazy how bad attainment is around the world right now. And so Yext is another amazing hyper-growth company. We've been working with them for many years. Great partnership between David and Cindy. Cindy's here because, Cindy didn't grow up in enablement. She was a chief of staff at Yext, and the organization wanted someone that understood the culture, understood the processes, understood how to get stuff done, and they promoted her, and she took over sales enablement, and it's been incredible to see the results and the partnership between her and Dave Rudnitsky. And the results are off the hook, right? They are ramping their teams a lot faster now. That they're doing it, they're ramping the right way. They've got learning paths by role. They're doing activity-based learning. They are really getting their teams to understand the market and the messages. It's beautiful. They have also recently just reported that they have been able to increase new product ACV by 50% during a pandemic. And they're doing it by aligning all their enablement activities with their CEO's top level. So Howard is our CEO. He's all about they want to go after certain markets, certain new products. That's the message. And their teams are getting trained and enabled over and over and over. And this partnership here between the CRO and the VP sales enablement, they're doing it together. It's amazing. And so here are some great stories, right? I think I've shown you some of the stories. These are some of our great customers. What's amazing about this slide is the following. These are results from the last 6 months during a pandemic. These are results of companies that have been able to deliver master sales enablement, deliver it at scale, deliver it virtually, following our enablement process map, using SalesHood. They've been able to achieve these great revenue outcomes, right? And so, I'm so excited about sales enablement, and I'm so passionate about it, as you can probably tell. Our platform is all in one. We are a purpose-built sales enablement platform. And so if anyone is interested in learning more, we can absolutely guide you through it. I wanted to give you the knowledge. I wanted to give you my experience. I wanted to give you the best practices of sales enablement and the enablement process map. You'll be able to get the book as well. But the only way you're going to be able to scale measuring the outcomes is by having one system that you can do learning, coaching, selling, and then correlating all that activity so you can actually know what's working. That's what you want to do. You just want to know what's working, because if things aren't working, then you want to bring the team together and start iterating your enablement programs. And that's the power here that we want to give you. And the other power I want to give you is the power of knowledge. So as we begin to wind down this presentation, and it's been super fun. I've been watching the feed. I can't wait to answer some of the questions and take them. We do have a sales enablement leadership course. Now, what we've done is we've taken some of these great leaders, Siobhan on the left, Lori Schrager from Telium. There's Callie from Domo. We've got Aaron Farley from Tanium, myself, and then Werner Schmidt from Sage. They've shared their knowledge on topics that we believe will be critical in helping you accelerate your revenue outcomes and achieve great sales enablement outcomes and master sales enablement and achieve your quota attainment that we're talking about here. So this is a free course. At the end of the course, you'll get an accreditation for sales enablement leadership. So whether you are a CRO, VP sales ops, VP sales enablement, or new to sales enablement, we encourage you to sign up for the course. We'd love to give you access, and we've got a number of ways you can run through it. You can take it self-paced, or we've got it facilitated, but it's amazing. It's a master class in sales enablement. And so with that, I just want to say, super grateful for the opportunity to share what we believe to be ways to master sales enablement so you can achieve an amazing revenue outcome. Well, thank you very much. Looking forward to meeting everyone. Don't hesitate to reach out. There are a number of ways you can get us, and looking forward to continuing the conversation, and have an amazing 21.